Okay, welcome back with another video, Biblical Slavery Rightly Understood. All right, so I'm just going to lay out some facts about biblical slavery so that we can be on the same page with what the Bible actually teaches. So the first fact about biblical slavery is that biblical slavery was not one single institution. One of the biggest mistakes is treating every biblical reference to slavery as though it were referring to the same thing. There are debt servitudes, there is voluntary servitude, foreign permanent slavery, war captive slavery, household servant slavery, and kidnapping slavery, or slavery based on kidnapping. These categories operate under different rules and cannot simply be collapsed into one system. That's number one. Number two, Hebrew debt servitude was usually temporary. Many objectors assume every slave in Israel was enslaved for life. This is actually false. According to Exodus 21, verse 2, a Hebrew servant worked 6 years and was released in the seventh year. A Hebrew servant was freed in the seventh year, according to Deuteronomy chapter 15, verse 12. And according to Exodus 12, if a non-Israelite converted to the Israelite religion and worshiped God and served God and circumcised himself and his sons, or if a woman, a female slave, or a female foreigner became a part of the Israelite community, they got the same benefits as any other native in the land of Israel. Number three, released servants, released Israelites, were given economic assistance so that they could be independent, free men or free women. So many people know about release, but overlook what happened afterward. So Deuteronomy 15, verse 13 through 14. When servants were released, masters were required to provide resources from their livestock and produce so that former servants would not leave empty-handed. And if you read the verse, you're going to see that this applies to Israelite slaves or Hebrew slaves. But with reference to the fact that slavery in the Old Testament was not racist, in that anyone from any race, if they became an Israelite, they would necessarily have all the benefits that were for native born, according to Exodus chapter 12. The provisions that were given to those who were formerly slaves were given to everyone who was an Israelite. So that's number three. I have a comment, well, not a comment, a request here. Zerem. All right, Zerem, what would you like to say about biblical slavery? Okay, she didn't come up, or he didn't come up. I don't know if the display photo is the actual person. All right. The other one, number four. Okay, so she. Okay. Sorry, Zerem. Sorry. It's because sometimes just Taro, the display photo is not the actual person. So I have to make sure that, I qualify that. The other one is slavery based on kidnapping. Now, this form of slavery in the Old Testament was condemned and punishable by unalivement. You would be unalived if you kidnapped anyone. And that's Exodus 21:16 and Exodus 24:7. Here's another fact about slavery that is often overlooked. Exodus 21:26 through 27. If a master permanently injured a servant, damaging an eye or a tooth, the servant obtained freedom. And when you look at the rabbinic literature on this, the rabbinic interpretation of this passage is that any permanent damage to any degree, they were to be freed. Another fact that is often overlooked is what happens to a runaway slave. If a slave ran away from his or her master, the slave was not to be returned. That's Deuteronomy 23, verse 15 through 16. An escaped slave was not to be forcefully returned to his master, but was allowed to settle where he chose and was not to be mistreated. I know, Jastaro. That is why I have to qualify by saying the rabbinic literature, because I am not one of those Christians who only believes the Bible. The Bible is authoritative, but that's not the only thing that's authoritative. The patristic writers, the church fathers are authoritative, and where the rabbinic literature agrees with the church fathers, that's also authoritative. The faith that was once for all delivered to the saints, the faith that was once for all delivered to the Christians, it was not just the Bible, it was also the tradition. So when you take the Bible and the tradition as a whole, you do not get a problem or a contradiction. So the interpretations given to us by the church fathers and by the rabbinic literature states that Exodus 21, with reference to the eye and the tooth, it is talking about any permanent damage. And in Hebrew, there is a form of speech in Hebrew called a merism, where you use an extreme to speak about the whole or the completeness of something. Like flesh and bones is about speaking about the entire body. Day and night is to make reference to an entire day. Alpha and omega is used to describe beginning and end, or the encompassing of the entire thing. So a merism is what is used in Exodus 21 with reference to permanent damage. Damage a tooth or an eye, it is referring to permanent damage to any degree. And don't believe me for a second, just look it up. Patristic writings on this particular verse and the rabbinic literature. And if you're talking to a Christian who does not take the Bible alone to be authoritative, then to use the Bible alone to try and corner that particular Christian is to commit a straw man fallacy. Because I'm not one of those Christians who is a radical Protestant who thinks that the Bible and I under a tree is all that's there. No, it's myself, the Bible, and the patristic literature interpreting that Bible. Okay, let me see who this person is and what he has to say about slavery in the Bible. It's okay, Jess Sauer. You can disagree with the interpretation, but you gave me something deeper to look into. So thank you. Thank you so much for coming up, man, and for hearing me out. And you can disagree with the interpretation. You can. It's totally fine. I'm just pointing out the basis for my interpretation, which is not my own. It is what is said by the church fathers and the rabbinic literature that came with the Bible as a unit and as a collective. It is not just the Bible. It is the Bible and the patristic literature interpreting that Bible. And anyone who rejects that, anyone who rejects the rabbinic literature and the patristic writings, all they have is what we call individualism. It is your interpretation against mine. But who's right? Who's right? There is nothing objective and external to say which one of us is right, because we're both interpreting the Bible on our own with nothing to distinguish who's right and who's wrong. We can't both be right if we contradict each other. So there has to be something that distinguishes who's right and who's wrong. And we have that in our tradition. I'm a Presbyterian. So whenever I have a disagreement on interpretation, I just say, hey, I have the support of the church fathers. You don't. So that means your interpretation is wrong and mine is right. That's what Irenaeus did when he was battling against the Gnostics. The Gnostics were saying that we have secret knowledge and our interpretation of the Bible is correct. And Irenaeus was saying that we have the tradition of the fathers that was passed down from the apostles. So we're right and you're wrong. And that was how they distinguished it. Okay, we can agree and disagree, but still learn together. Yeah, of course. Mickey, Does the majority of scholars agree with that interpretation? It doesn't matter what the majority of scholars say. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. It's totally irrelevant. What does the church fathers say? What does the rabbinic literature say? That's what matters. It doesn't matter what any scholars say. It doesn't matter. Because, and let me tell you why it doesn't matter. Mickey, you can point to a scholar that agrees with your interpretation, and I can point to a scholar that is equally qualified that agrees with mine, which means that we still don't arrive to truth by using the scholars because they contradict each other. So what is the objective referent that we're going to use to see who's correct? The only one we have is the patristic writings from the church fathers. That's what we have. That's what we have, bro. In my recent studying on the patristic writings. Yes, Justaro. In my recent studying on what the scholars say, they are divided. Christian scholars say that this is talking about abuse and permanent damage to any degree. And non-Christian scholars say it's only the tooth and the eye, which means they can damage anything else and get away with it. Now, those interpretations are contradictory. So who's right? Church fathers. So this one is asking me which church fathers. Okay, I'm going to pull that up for you. ChatGPT, I want you to extract from my book who the church fathers are who interpreted Exodus 21 with the tooth and the eye to refer to any form of abuse or permanent damage. Because I wrote a book about this, so I haven't published it yet, but when I finally do, it's going to be something I can refer you guys to. So from the book that I put together, John Chrysostom. Oh wait, I want the actual quote. Wait. ChatGPT, give me the actual quotes from the church fathers John Chrysostom, Augustine of Hippo, Theodoret of Cyrus, Ambrose of Milan, and Gregory the Great. All the church fathers who interpreted Exodus 21, 26 through 27 to mean abuse and also permanent damage. Give me the quotes. No, Mr. Shrimp. I don't like ChatGPT arguments. I use ChatGPT to extract original sources so that it saves me time. I could go to my library and pull the books out of my digital library and spend 20 to 30 minutes searching for the quotes, or I can simply ask a simple question to ChatGPT. What are the original sources? It's that simple. So to verify my claim that Exodus 21, 26 through 27 means abuse. Oh, wait a minute. Is that what you said? Oh my goodness. If I like the tag argument, I thought you, my bad. I misrepresented you. Yes, I like the tag argument. That's the argument that I actually use for God's existence. Okay, so the church fathers on Exodus 21, 26 through 27, John Chrysostom says, the law is full of mercy even toward slaves. If a master destroys the eye of a slave or knocks out a tooth, he must let him go. See how God protects the weak and does not allow the powerful to abuse their servants without consequence. So it's about abuse, not about, knocking out a tooth or an eye only. Augustine of Hippo, he says, if the master destroys the eye of his slave or knocks out a tooth, the slave is immediately set free. This law shows that God does not permit permanent injury to the body of a servant. The master loses both the injury he caused and the slave's service, a fitting punishment for his cruelty. So you see where Augustine literally says the interpretation of that passage is injury to the body, any degree, any injury that causes permanent damage, you must let the slave go. I know that the interpretation you guys like, especially unbelievers, is it's only talking about the eye and the tooth, which implies that they can damage anything else and the slave would still remain a slave. No. You have no basis for that but your own opinion and the opinion of a scholar here or there. Whereas I have, for my interpretation, the writings of the church fathers that comes with the Bible as a collective. So you can't interpret the Bible disconnected from the patristic literature, because if you do, you are committing a straw man fallacy. Atheist as F. Okay, you're not coming back up here, bro. As a matter of fact, just swipe and get out of here. I remember talking to you. You are a very disgusting, belligerent, insultful man. And I actually am very hesitant to even call you a man because you're so childish. You're never coming back on my life, bro. So just swipe and get out of here. Get the hell out of here. We're not talking again. I promise you that. Don't request to come on my page, bro. Get out of here. Hey, Mr. Shrimp, you don't want to know what happened with Atheist as F. You don't want to know. That guy is, oh no, we can't even talk. We cannot talk. We can't. We cannot. All right, Gestaro. Let's hear what you have to say. What do you have to say about biblical slavery, buddy?
Hey, how are you?
Doing okay, man. Just correcting some misunderstandings.
Cool. And yeah, that actually, like I said, you taught me something new today, so I just wanted to also say that I appreciate that. Where can I read, because I'm on a journey of learning all of this as well, where can I read the patristic writings? Like, do you have a good source that I can look into?
It's actually very, very good. You can get the patristic writings on Kindle from Amazon, or you can get them for free by doing a simple Google search. Free download. Wait, let me even give you a link right now. Free download.
Thank you.
Free download. You can actually read all of the church fathers. I'm so glad that they made these things public so that anyone can access them. Let me see.
As they should.
Yeah. The full patristic collection, free download, PDF. Here we go. So you can get them off the website, internetarchive.org. So you go on internetarchive.org and type in patristic writings, and bro, it's voluminous. If you even look at the hard copy, you have like 15 thicker books than the Bible itself of their writings in the anti-Nicene fathers, and then you have I think 20 of another set of thicker books than the Bible that are the post-Nicene fathers. So you have a lot of reading to do. That is why I use AI to extract. I use AI to extract particular quotes on particular topics. And as well, you can also buy a book called The Church Fathers by Topic. The Church Fathers by Topic from Amazon, where someone, I'm going to tell you his name in a moment. He
categorizes it?
Yeah, he categorizes the Church Fathers by topic, what every Church Father wrote about a particular topic, and that's amazing. Let me see.
I think I am going to, that's helpful, man. Thank you.
Topic. Church Fathers. Wait. I want to get this. Oh, 700.
Yeah, because this is an area that I have not looked into much at all, except for like a few Google searches here and there, like during my time researching this. Okay. So
yeah. So it's called Dictionary of Early Christian Beliefs, a reference guide to more than 700 topics discussed by the Church Fathers, by David Burkott. David Burkott. So in this, you get topics that range, and they're also in alphabetical order. So just to open the book very quickly, you have top topics like infant baptism, absolution, adoption of children, Advent. You have afterlife, Alexander. You have every topic they discussed. And when you go to the topic of slavery, what they say about slavery is that this particular passage in Exodus 21, it is condemning abuse of the slave. Abuse. So people normally interpret that passage to mean the slave master can hurt the slave as much as they want as long as they don't damage the tooth and the eye.
Exodus 21, verse 20 through 21.
Yeah. How people interpret that, without exception to this day in my lifetime, is that you can do whatever you want to the slave as long as you don't go above the neck. That's not what is believed. Now, you can actually have a basis for that interpretation if you're talking to a Christian who rejects the church fathers, because it's going to be your interpretation versus theirs. And who's right in that way? Who's right in that sense? But with me, I don't believe that the Bible alone is authoritative. You got to go with the Bible and the interpretive guide given to you by the church fathers, because they had the benefit of proximity to the apostles, and the apostles told them what the Bible meant when they gave it to them. Yeah, so it's a misrepresentation and a straw man to just use the Bible disconnected from the church fathers and stuff like that. So that's
Here's
not
a question about that as well too. With regards, what's it called? Actually, well, any topic. In your research, have you seen any church fathers have just differing opinions on what a passage would mean? Especially like in regards to slavery or anything in general. Have you found anything like that? They're all like pretty much aligned?
They're all aligned on the essential doctrines. The essential doctrines. Doctrines that are non-essential, they would not be aligned with. So on this particular topic about slavery, they are aligned on the doctrine called the Imago Dei principle, which is that every human being is made in God's image and therefore should be treated with love, value, and respect. They're all aligned on that, every single one of them. So to abuse a slave would be antithetical to that doctrine and hence would be evil. And also, the church fathers, very ironically, all of them viewed slavery in and of itself to be sin. So what they did was, in their lifetime, they tried to reduce and minimize slavery as much as they could. That is why you have historical documents pointing to the fact that early Christians would try to provide a means for their slave to be independent and then let the slave go, or they would also go and buy slaves from abusive masters so that they could let the slave go free independently. That's historical fact. Monasteries did it, monks did it, priests did it, the church promoted it, and this is so true. So when somebody says, you Christians are evil and you love slavery, bro, that's not what history says. Now, I'm sure you can point out somebody who claimed to be a Christian who was a slave supporter and a wicked slave owner, but that's just what it is. Somebody claiming to be something doesn't make them.
There were atheists that were pro-slavery, and there were atheists that were against slavery as well too. Just in that case, it was like humans being humans, and what they chose to do with where they stood with it.
Yeah. So what you're pointing out is what is called the hasty generalization fallacy, where you take one bad behavior of one to judge the whole, instead of looking at the value system or the values of the movement itself. So I would never do that to an atheist. But what I point out to the atheist is, okay, so if one Christian was in favor of slavery, you're saying that all Christians are in favor of slavery. Would you be consistent?
That's not how that works.
Would you be consistent if I were to point out that there were atheistic regimes who unalived a lot of people? Does that mean that all atheists are murderous, genocidal maniacs? No, of course not.
Yeah.
So if it goes one way, it's going to go the other way. So let's not do that. Let's look at the value system of the movement itself and then come to a conclusion to see who was consistent, who was not. And also, it violates the law of identity in that you're saying that just by claiming to be a Christian, you are a Christian. No, something something isn't what it is because you claim to be it. I can claim to be a duck. I'm not a duck. I can claim to be a dog. I'm not a dog. Claimancy does not equate identity. That's not how it works. So
I agree with you.
Yeah, it falls flat on its face.
What's called? What's called? I was a fan of Gregory Nissa, like Nyssa.
Yeah, I've heard of him. I think he's
Yeah, have you looked into what he said about slavery?
Wait. Damn, I have Gregory the Great here. No, I haven't looked at what he said about it. I'm going to have to...
Yeah, look up what Gregory of Nyssa said about slavery. Like, he was huge about fighting against slavery.
What did Gregory of Nyssa say about slavery from the corpus? Because I have a PDF that I gathered all of the writings of the church fathers on particular topics that I discuss on TikTok so that I don't get blindsided. And I think that he is in my PDF. So what I did was I uploaded my PDF to ChatGPT to extract from it various topics that I discussed or looked into. So I think
That's helpful.
I think I have... Wait. Okay. So, give me... I'm going to ask you. So he spoke on slavery on homilies on Ecclesiastes. Tell me the quote. Give me a quote that Gregory of Nyssa actually wrote on slavery and what his views are on it. Because it's going to be consistent with the rest of the church fathers, I bet. Okay, so here are some statements. So it says, unlike some of the other church fathers who focused on human treatment of slaves, Gregory of Nyssa went much further and directly attacked the legitimacy of treating a human being as property. So he went even further. He saw slaves being treated as property, or even being slaves in the first place, as a sin, as church fathers saw as well. So one of the things he said is that I got me a slave and a slave girl for what price? Tell me, what did you find in existence worth as much as this human nature? What price did you put on rationality? How many obols did you reckon the equivalence of the likeness of God? So he's literally fighting against the institution itself, where you can't be enslaving people who are made in God's image. That's wrong. That's evil. So yeah, he went further. But what you will find that is a unified principle in the church fathers, and I want you to make a distinction as well. Not every patristic writer is a church father, but every church father is a patristic writer. And you can use AI to even distinguish that as well. In that, even though, Arius was a patristic writer, he was not a church father, because Arius was a heretic. He believed that Jesus Christ was a created being, and the Father was distinct from the Son in essence and nature, which would make Jesus Christ a creation. But the Bible says he's not a creation. He created all things. So people like him, they're patristic writers because you can find their volumes and what they wrote, but they're not church fathers. So the church fathers agreed on the essentials, all the essentials, and we know what those are. And one of them is the Imago Dei principle that every human being deserves value, dignity, and respect because they're made in God's image, and therefore slavery is wrong. It's evil. Oh, we have a lot of comments here, or requests. So I'm glad you understand what I'm saying, and I want you to get the books off Internet Archive. Get them for free. Just download them, do some reading, and come back.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thank you.
No problem, man. Bless you, bro. Let me see here. I want to bring somebody else up. Where are the requests? Oh, Darth is back. Okay, let me see if I can bring him up. Oh, no, it's not working. It's not working. I'm going to try to bring someone else up. I don't know why TikTok's not allowing me to bring Darth up. What's going on today? All right, Mr. Shrimp, what's going on?
I mean, I was just asking a question in the chat. Why are we getting muted for that by Darth? Is that even the real Darth Dawkins?
Yeah, that is the real Darth Dawkins. I'm actually trying to bring him up, but I don't know why my live won't allow me to bring him up. I don't know why. Okay, so what's your position on slavery?
I wasn't even talking about slavery. I'm not that educated on the Bible, so I don't really want to talk about it, you know?
You're a good dude, man. You're a good dude. I wish more non-believers were like that. They like to talk about things they don't know anything about. And you're not that dude, so I give you props for that, man. Keep it up.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good one, bro.
Yep.
Let me try to bring Darth up again. I do not know. Hey, Darth, is there something wrong on your end? Because I keep trying to bring you up and you're not coming up. I don't know what's going on. All right. Zam X Dos. I'm gonna call you Zam. What's going on? Okay, Zam probably withdrew his request. Okay, not lost.
Yo, how you doing, man?
I'm doing okay. What would you like to say about slavery?
Yeah, I was just wondering, why do you think that some slavery would be righteous as far as the Bible is concerned?
It's not righteous. It's bad. It's evil.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. So, would you say the biblical God doesn't condone condones slavery?
I would say the biblical God, he from his decree to create the world and from his plan to ordain all things that take place in time to fulfill his most holy, good, and righteous purposes. One of those things he has decreed is the evil of slavery and all other evils, because he's using them as tools to bring about his most holy and righteous goodness. And I'm going to give you a story from the Bible just to...
Can I just ask one question first?
Sure.
Yeah, do you think it's logically possible, meaning there's just no logical contradiction with the idea of God creating a world where such evils slavery didn't exist, but also his holy mission was accomplished?
If it's logically possible, yeah, in the sense that someone could conceive of a world where God could do that. But conceivability does not equal actuality. It would be the possibility fallacy.
Well, I don't know what you mean by that. I don't know what do you mean by the possibility fallacy. If we were to say that God could do all things that are logically possible, and the example I gave is logically possible, it would just seem to me that God could do that thing.
What I'm talking about is, let me pull it up for you. Possibility fallacy. The possibility fallacy is when somebody treats something being possible to it being actual, and using that as a means to refute a worldview where it contradicts that.
Yeah, I think that's the kind of thing wouldn't work though if we're talking about a thing that could actually change the past, present, and future. If we're talking about an omnipotent God, right? I think that fallacy kind of begs apart when we're talking about God.
I actually don't think so. I mean, it's called the appeal to possibility or the appeal to probability. It's a logical error that occurs when someone assumes that because something is possible, it will certainly or probably happen, or no matter how unlikely.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not saying that would happen either. I'm just asking you, could God have created a world where, evils like slavery didn't exist, and also his mission was fulfilled? And then I just asked you the question, if he could do that, why would it? I'm not saying that it had to have happened.
Well, if you're doing an internal critique of my worldview, it is a proposition in my worldview that God's plan that we see being unfolded in the creation is an eternal plan, and hence everything that happens in time is necessitated by that plan and could not have been otherwise. So no, I would not even say that God is able to do otherwise than he already did, because it's the eternal plan of God being unfolded.
Okay, so God can't do anything that's outside of his own plan?
Right. From an internal critique, yes, he cannot do that.
I would just have to rephrase my question. I would just ask, why when God created his eternal plan? I guess you can't really say that was created because it's eternal, right? I don't know. How does a plan become? How can a plan be eternal? Wouldn't it have to be, in order for it to be planned, wouldn't you have to plan that thing being made?
Yeah, a plan being eternal in reference to God's mind is that God did not begin to plan, and before he began to plan, he was not planning. It means that he has always had the plan to create a world where this would be this and that would be that, and hence that plan being the way it is, by necessity, there is no way that he could have done otherwise with reference to his plan. So to answer the question from an internal critique standpoint, no, God could not have done otherwise than what he planned to do.
Okay, so maybe I'll just phrase the question like this. I'll just incorporate the word plan, even though I kind of don't really understand how that works. Like, I'll say, like, when God, like, I don't even know how to phrase it. Like, when the plan happened, I guess even though I can't even phrase it like that because it was eternal.
I mean, the way you would phrase it is when the plan was expressed, because the plan is expressed in the physical world. That's the expression of the plan. But the plan itself is an eternal plan that is in the mind of God without beginning and without end.
For something to be expressed, though, that must happen at a point in time. And if something happens at a point in time, then it must be at a point within the eternal spectrum.
No, it wouldn't be in the eternal spectrum. It would be that the plan of God has a part of that plan that it is expressed in time and when it will be expressed in time. There is no contradiction there. It's just a lack of comprehension. But as you know, if you study logic, to say that something is false or something isn't true because you can't understand it, it's an appeal to incredulity fallacy.
Right, yeah, I'm not saying anything less to understand. I'm also not saying it's a contradiction. So
what's the problem then?
I'm just like trying to understand here.
So I guess I would recommend that you do some reading in Jonathan Edwards, Augustine's writings on this, John Calvin's writings on this, and on the eternal plan of God not entailing a contradiction being expressed in time. And my worldview as a Calvinist, I can look at slavery and call it evil, and also call it a part of God's plan to fulfill his purposes.
Yeah, I mean,
there's just no contradiction.
You didn't really answer my questions in a way that I can understand, but you seem to like to point out to a few books that I can read, maybe.
Okay, ask me the question again so I can try my best.
Yeah, I can like rephrase the original question. I'm just asking, like, I was just saying if it's like going to be logically possible for like God to have created a world was there.
Okay, so from within my worldview, it's not logically possible, but from an external critique, it can be conceived by an individual, a world that God could have done that, including someone could conceive the existence of a unicorn. You could conceive the existence of a married bachelor, but that does not make them,
you know. Like what law of logic does it violate for that world to exist?
From an internal critique standpoint, the law of non-contradiction.
Okay, so it would be, what is the contradiction? What's the P and not P?
Okay, so from within an internal critique standpoint, the P would be God's decree is eternal and hence would not have any change within it. And the not P would be God could change his eternal plan, which would necessitate a change in that which is eternal, which cannot be. So we would have the P, eternality cannot change, and not P, eternality can change, which would be a P and not P in the internal critique standpoint. So from within my worldview, it would produce a contradiction.
I think I understand what you're saying. Maybe I'll come back later when I can like formalize what we're talking about.
Let me say it a different way. From within my worldview, on the one hand, we claim that eternality cannot change. And on the other hand, if we're saying it's possible that it could change, we're saying that it can change. So you'd have the P, it cannot change, and the not P, it can change. So that would be from an internal.
I understand what you mean by the P and not P. I'm just trying to understand how that would work, like how that would actually like refute my point, as far as like how God could have, why like God's plan didn't incorporate something that could have like involved less evil but still led to the same result.
Oh, I see. I think I see what you're saying. I think I see what you're saying. But what I'm pointing out is if you do an internal critique, you are going to, have to say what Christians say about their theology. And it is that God could not have done otherwise because his plan is eternal. If he could have done otherwise, even possibly do otherwise, then we have a contradiction from within our worldview.
Okay. That's fine. I think I'll step down for now. But it's an interesting point you made. I had to think about that.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
But what's your position though? Are you an atheist? Are you agnostic?
I'm not an atheist. No, I'm an agnostic theist.
Okay. All right then. Thanks for coming, bro.
I see you.
Okay. Darth, I do not know what's happening, man. Every time I try to bring you up, my TikTok is not allowing me. I'm gonna try again. Hold on. Nope, it's not happening. Let me try this guy. Zet. Okay, I'm calling you Zet. Z. Okay. What would you like to say?
I would say that the Bible clearly condones slavery.
I don't disagree.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is that God's breathed scripture?
Yep.
Okay. So God decided that the first iteration of his instructions, commandments, statements decided to tell us, hey, own slaves?
Yep. Where's the contradiction?
I haven't said there is a contradiction yet.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. So are you okay with that?
If I'm okay with God commanding and ordaining slavery?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no problem.
Why are you okay with that?
Because it's God. He can do whatever he wants.
So just might makes right?
Oh, no. There's no might there.
Well, what do you mean by that? Because he's God, he can do whatever he wants.
He's God in that he is the ultimate unifying causal nature entity who actualizes, governs, and sustains all things. And this is his world, so he can do whatever he wants. In virtue of him being the creator, him being the authority, and him being the lawgiver. So it's not just might makes right.
Be included in that characteristic?
Would what?
Would Almighty be included in his characteristics and properties?
Yes. So
Okay.
if he wanted a world, so because he wanted a world where there would be.
You're asking where the might came from. That's what I'm saying. That's where the might makes right comes from.
No. What I'm pointing out is it's not just might that is involved in the God can do whatever he wants. There's also he's the creator. There's also he's a sustainer. There's also he's the lawgiver.
Okay, so just
it's a simplified it's a simplifying of the truth that
divine
that's
command
not.
theory, right?
What?
Divine command theory.
No, I don't use that. I use divine nature theory.
It's the same. Would you agree it's the same thing? Just you're saying it differently.
No, I wouldn't, because divine command theory presupposes that God gave a command, and then you have the Euthyphro dilemma, and that's a problem.
Wait, no, these are commands, right? As far as slavery, these are commands.
These are commands as far as slavery,
Okay.
yes. But
you say they're right because he's God, so it's by his divine command they are right.
I did not say they are right.
Yes, you did.
I didn't say they are right.
You said yes.
You asked me if I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ask me if I said it was right or am I okay with it?
Sorry, I didn't know that you're playing like this crazy game where you say something is okay, but it's not right. Like that's just not what right means.
No, I'm not playing a game.
You're saying it's right.
I'm not playing a game. I'm reminding you of your question.
Sorry, you're right. I should have phrased it. Do you think it's right? So then I'll ask you that right now. Do you think it's right to own a person as property?
No, it's evil.
So was it wrong for God to command to own people as property?
No, it wasn't wrong for God to command it.
Can you square that circle for me, please?
Can I what?
Can you square that circle for me, please?
Oh, sure.
You said just contradicted itself.
Sure, I can square the circle. For something to be wrong for an agent to perform or do, there has to be an external law that dictates their actions as being wrong or right. In the Christian worldview and internal critique standpoint, God is ex lex and above the law that he gave to human beings. So nothing God does with reference to his law is wrong because his law does not apply to him. There's no contradiction there.
So when you say it's wrong, are you not saying God, according to you, gave a wrong command?
No, when I say it's wrong, I'm saying it's wrong for human beings to own slaves.
Okay, so then did God give a command to own slaves?
Yes, he did.
I'm asking you, is that wrong to do?
Is it wrong to own slaves?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
So then would you say God gave a wrong command?
No, I would say God gave a command to commit sin.
Okay. You said it's wrong. So how could you not say that he got a wrong command? Because
I'm making a very important distinction between God and human beings that you're not doing.
I know, and I'm is it wrong to own people? You said yes. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
So then I asked, so did God, according to you give a wrong command?
Give a wrong command.
Yes.
When you say give a wrong command,
give a command that is wrong.
Are you asking me if God did a wrong thing or if the command itself was wrong for the human being?
Did God give a command to do a wrong thing?
Yes.
Okay. And as long as you can say, so you're all good God gave a command to do something wrong.
Yes.
He's no longer all good.
How does that follow?
Because how can an all good God give a command to do something that is wrong? Because
it's a part of his holy decree and plan to fulfill his good purposes.
Can good things be wrong?
Wait. Hold on. Hey, Dad. I'm on the live right now. I can't talk. I'll be right back.
No worries. All right, dude.
All right. What was your question?
Yeah. Can a good thing be wrong?
Can a good thing be wrong? Can a good thing? What's the good thing you're referring to?
Oh no. So you said God is all good. Right?
So
all commands He gives are good. But you just said this command to own people is wrong. So how can He give a wrong command if He's all good?
Okay, just to clarify something. I did not say that God is all good, therefore all commands He gives is good. I didn't say that. You did.
Okay, so how would that not entail an all good God?
Yeah, I want you to ask me. See, when your mind creates an entailment, I want you to ask me before you throw it at me, because I'm going to make sure that I reject it if I didn't say it. Okay. So let me.
I did ask, or I did try, and then you started playing this like what is wrong. So can an all good God give a wrong command?
Yes, He can. And here's why it's not a contradiction.
All good then.
Here's why it's not a contradiction from the Christian worldview. Because
like a definition view, like all good, omnibenevolent means all good, right?
It means all. Wait. It means all good, but you have to also say that God's essence is expressed in different ways with reference to His simplicity from Christian theology. It doesn't sound like you've studied Christian theology very much, so it sounds like you're learning some of it right now.
No, all I've said is you said God gave a wrong command.
Yes.
I agree with you. Then you're saying that He's also all good. I'm saying it's contradictory to say an all good being can give a wrong command.
Okay. Let me square it. Because this is how we square it in our worldview as Christians. The all good God can give a bad command to fulfill His good purposes. That is not a contradiction. You would have to find the contradiction.
He's causing people to suffer.
There's nothing wrong with suffering when God causes it. There's nothing wrong with it.
Is it bad to suffer?
Let me rephrase what I said, and then I answer your question. It is not wrong to suffer when God causes it. Now, is it wrong to suffer? I would say that suffering is bad from a worldview.
Does suffering cause harm?
Yes, it does.
Can an omnibenevolent being cause harm to somebody else?
Yes, He can. Because God does not.
So He's not omnibenevolent. That's fine.
Omnibenevolent? Wait, what? Do you mean all good, right?
Yeah, all good.
That would necessitate that in order for God to be all good, then God would have to make sure that no one suffers. But you're pulling that out of the hairs on your head. That's not Christian theology.
You could have caught me on something else. I should have said unnecessary suffering. Can an all good God cause unnecessary suffering?
Can an all good God cause unnecessary suffering? No. Okay, that's because all suffering is necessary. All suffering is necessary.
Well, I don't think all suffering. I think you can suffer for a purpose, like getting a shot or something like that.
No, let me tell you why. From the Christian worldview, all suffering is necessary because it is a part of God's plan. So it is necessary.
Okay, so I guess you just presuppose that you're correct in that matter.
No, I'm telling you my worldview. Are you aware of internal and external critiques of worldviews?
Not every. Do you agree or disagree that not everyone would see omnibenevolence as that it's rooted in the Christian worldview?
I do agree that not everyone would see it that way. However, hold on. What most people say something is irrelevant. That's argumentum ad populum. It doesn't matter what most people think.
No, it's not argument. I didn't appeal to popularity there at all.
Oh, okay.
I just asked you, would you agree or disagree that not everyone sees it the way you're saying it?
Actually, what I would say to that question is that the vast majority, well, actually, not even the vast majority, all of the Christians from the patristic period and the patristic writings agree with my conclusion, because I'm not speaking from my own interpretation. All suffering is necessary that happens in the world because it is decreed and ordained by God for his most holy and good purposes.
So then it's not wrong to owe people that cause them suffering, because it's
Of course it is, because it contradicts God's prescriptive law and will.
But is it part of his plan?
Of course it is.
So then it can't be wrong.
That's because you're conflating God's plan with God's prescription.
No. You said, like, because necessary is good, right? The suffering is good because the suffering is a necessity. So that means the suffering they're going through as slaves is good because it's required. So it can't be wrong for them to be owned, because it's what is needed for them to be part of the plan.
Let me try to clear it up for you, because what's going on here is I think it's my fault. I didn't make a distinction between the wills of God. So in Christian theology, remember, internal critique, we distinguish between God's prescriptive will, that's the moral law, and God's decreative will, which is everything that takes place in time. So for something to be a contradiction, as you probably well know, as somebody who has read philosophy, in order for something to be a contradiction, it has to meet three criteria: the criteria of temporality, the criteria of category, and the criteria of semantics. If I'm saying that God wants and doesn't want something in different aspects and in different ways, it does not meet the contradiction criteria. So there's no contradiction.
Can you repeat what you just said?
All right. So what I said was a contradiction has to meet three criteria for it to be a contradiction. Has to be A and not A, or a proposition affirms and negates itself at the same time, in the same category, and the same meaning. So temporal, categorical, and semantic criteria has to be met, all three together, for there to be a contradiction. And what I'm pointing out is God has two wills: will of decree and will of prescription, and those are different aspects that may say things that are different from each other, which does not produce a contradiction.
Can those two have what we would assume as a contradiction, or what we would traditionally know as a contradiction, but it's not because of these different wills?
Only with reference to an external critique, but not internal critique.
I don't know if that answered.
Let me tell you why. When you do an internal critique,
Hold on. Could it seem like to an outside observer that those two wills contradict each other?
It is not logically impossible, but something seeming to be a certain way doesn't mean that it is.
I promise it's not a trap. I'm just saying, could it seem that they contradict each other because we don't understand the wills?
Actually, no. It could seem like it contradicts each other if you don't know what the definition of a contradiction is.
Could those wills have an A and not A?
Both wills can have an A and a not A in different senses, different meanings, and different temporal category, which means that it's not a contradiction. And let me give you an example.
Like that's a lot of dancing around a contradiction.
Oh no, it's not. It's not.
How do you know these wills are separate?
Well, the reason why we know they are separate is because we see them in the scripture. We see where God's prescriptive will is his will of command, where he says, "Thou shalt not murder." And his will of decree, he ordains and decrees that there be murder, but is for to fulfill an ultimate good purpose. We see the distinction in the Bible, and it's in Christian theology as well.
So we see the contradictions in the Bible, and you just say that these wills rationalize them out.
You and I both agree that words have meanings that, so just jumping on literally that principle, words have meaning. We don't see a contradiction if we accept what a contradiction is and then try to find that in the Christian worldview. We don't find a contradiction.
Well, like you say, because God says do not murder. There's clearly murder commanded by God in the Bible. So you're saying that's not a contradiction because there's different wills in those statements.
Difference of temporality, category, and semantics. Yes, there's a difference. There's a difference. So
give me an example of one that shows me the prescriptive will and the descriptive will? Was that correct?
Well, actually, if you're asking me to show you from the Bible, you're not going to see the words prescriptive and descriptive will.
No, I know.
What I'm giving you is Christian theology, where the Bible is, where how the Bible is taught throughout the centuries. These things were talked about and these things were resolved in that way. So what I'm trying to show you is that if you take the Bible alone, you will not come to these conclusions. But if you take the Bible and the teaching of the Bible, which is a collective, you will get these things, and there's no contradiction.
Do all the church fathers agree on these two different wills?
Yes. All the church fathers agree that God's decree is his plan of the entire creation, which would be in the writings of Augustine, in the writings of Gregory of Nyssa, Gregory the Great, and others, where God has a plan to fulfill his purpose. His purpose is good, and that is what we mean by an all good God. But within that purpose, there are things that take place that are wrong or evil. But they have to take place because that is how God fulfills his purposes.
Yeah, back to your eternal plan thing. Is the eternal plan something God thought up of?
That's a very good question, and I'm glad that I studied it the other day. When we say eternal plan, we make reference to the fact that the plan of God did not have a beginning or a starting point. God did not, okay, I'm going to start my plan now, or I'm going to start thinking of a plan now. It's actually something that has always been in the mind of God, the eternal plan of God. But within that eternal plan, it is also planned to be expressed in time. So there is a time that it starts in time and a time when it ends in time.
So is that a no or a yes if you thought it up?
It's a no. It's a no. God did not at one point start to plan. God has always been planning.
I'll grant that he didn't start anywhere. Did he, in whatever eternal process it came to be, did he decide what would happen in this plan?
Yes. He decided what would happen in this plan, but the plan is eternal in the sense that it never started nor ended in his mind.
So however the plan is working out, it's working out according to his will, the way he wanted
Perfect. You're getting it. There you go.
So back to the previous caller's question, could he have made that same plan, the eternal plan, never begun, all that, without slavery?
From an internal critique standpoint, no, because an internal plan
I'm not even at that point yet. So could he have done it?
No, he could not.
He could not have. Why couldn't he?
Because it's a part of his eternal plan, which cannot change.
But he made it, right?
He made it in the expression within time, yes. But it could not have been different because it is
according to his will. So his will could have been that we have this plan that does not include slavery.
Not from an internal critique standpoint. That's exactly what an eternal plan is. It cannot change. What it is what it is forever. It cannot change.
He made it up. He decided what that plan. It was his will. It was going again. Remember, you said I was catching on. You even smiled and said you're catching on. You said it's happening to his will and his plan.
Yes.
So could his plan have, before it was eternal and in motion, before it expressed itself in time, have been without slavery?
No, it could not.
Why is God limited to for slavery being in the Bible?
God is limited to his nature and his decree. And that's a historical and theological fact.
Two omnis already. That's kind of crazy.
Two omnis? It seems like
and omnipotent.
You have a misunderstanding of what omnipotence is, man. Omnipotence means God can do all things that are consistent with his nature. He cannot deny himself. He cannot lie. He cannot murder. There are things God can't do.
It's just his nature to have slavery.
Not in his nature. It is within his plan to have slavery.
No, but the plan that couldn't be changed because he can't go against his nature. So his nature is to have people own people.
No, not his, bro. You're misunderstanding something here.
No, you said the plan couldn't change because of his nature. The plan includes slavery,
No.
so God's nature includes slavery.
The reason why I deviated to talk about what God can and can't do is because I was correcting your understanding of omnipotence. Now I'm going to get back to this particular question you brought up, which implicitly is a question. God's plan is eternal, and therefore everything in the plan is necessary to happen, and therefore cannot be different. That's what I'm talking about with reference to slavery not being in non-existence.
So it's necessary for us to have slavery.
It's necessary that slavery is a part of existence and in the plan of God. It's necessary.
Okay, and the necessity of that is because of his nature.
No, because of his will, which is distinct from his essence.
Fine, his will then. His will is to have slaves.
His will is that there be slavery in the created order.
Great, so he wanted slaves to happen.
Exactly. I think I said that earlier. What you're seeing here, bro, is consistency in every corner.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. If you just want to die on the sword that God wanted slaves, that's
no, I didn't say God wanted slaves either. I said that God wanted there to be slavery. I want you to word what I'm saying correctly, buddy.
That's the same thing as want slaves.
That's not the same thing as wanting slaves. If you wrote a book, and in the book, if you were a TV or television producer and you wrote a movie where there was schmurder in the movie, does that mean you want schmurder?
The movie isn't the eternal plan, right?
In that analogy, the movie.
Why it's different. I'm gonna tell you why it's different. The movie is just like a fictional story that's not true, that we don't expect to happen. We're not dictating what will happen. God's eternal plan is the exact opposite of that he is dictating what will happen, how it will happen, why it happens. So yes, if he put schmurder in there, it's because he wants schmurder to happen.
I think you missed the analogy. I said, if you were a movie producer and you wrote a movie a certain way, everything that happens in the movie is according to your plan. If something happens in the movie where there is schmurder, that does not entail that the movie producer wants schmurder or wants to be.
The movie producer wants schmurder in the movie.
Wait. I said it the wrong way. That does not entail that the movie producer is a schmurderer. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
I didn't directly call God a schmurderer, which I do technically, or I do believe. What I said is, since schmurder exists in his plan, then he wanted schmurder to happen. Just like if schmurder happens in the movie, it's because the director wanted it to happen in the movie.
No. That's not what you said with reference to God. You said because slavery is in God's plan, that means God wanted slaves. Like God wanted it to be a slave owner. That's what you said. And I'm saying no.
Slavery. But I mean, I think colloquially saying wanting slaves, like wanting slaves to exist, wanting the slavery concept to exist is what I meant.
Okay,
right?
If that's what you meant, then I misunderstood you. If that's what you meant
to exist in his plan, right?
Let me apologize. If that's what you meant, then I misunderstood you. I thought you meant God wanted slaves to mean God wanted to be a slave owner, which would not be entailment.
Well, I mean, you guys are all slaves. Christ, right?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, so he wants slaves.
Not in the sense that you mean, because what you were saying was that God wanting there to be slavery, I thought you meant God wanted slaves. If you're talking about adoption as sons and slaves of Christ and Christ being our Lord, then of course, in that sense, yes. But I didn't think you meant that.
You're at his beck and call, right? If God says to do something, he would do it?
No, I'm a Presbyterian, so I don't believe that God speaks to people today.
Oh, okay.
Apart from his word.
You guys don't agree on that, I know, so...
God does not speak apart from his word in our worldview. He doesn't.
So, you would say all the Christians that do say they speak to him are liars, right?
I would say that those Christians are delusional and schizophrenic.
Oh, wow, that's pretty harsh.
Yeah.
Liar was harsh. You went way harsh.
I will tell them that any day of the week, because there are Christians out there. There are people out there who claim to be Christians who say God told them to wear a blue shirt and God told them to wear red socks. And there are even extremes. God told me to drown my kids. God told me to do this and do that. Yeah. They are schizophrenic and they are delusional. I'm not one of those Christians.
People are giving God glory and say like, he called me to do this and like stuff like that. You don't you're saying that they're just crazy people?
It depends on what you mean when they say God called him to do what, or God called him to do X. What I'm trying to point out to you, Zach, is that hey, CJ, turn that down for me. Turn that down. What I'm saying is, these people who say God spoke to them, they have an epistemic problem where they cannot tell you how they know with absolute certainty that it's God talking to them. They can't tell you. So they don't know. All they do, the only way they can know that is by retrospect. If what they claim was told to them by God, they did, and the results of what they heard actually came forward, that's the only way they can know, but they cannot know instantly if God is talking to them. So we just reject wholeheartedly that God does not talk to anybody because there's no way of knowing apart from his word.
When did that stop?
When did it stop?
Yeah, when did God stop talking to people directly?
God stopped talking to people directly when the canon was closed. When the canon was closed. Because after the Bible was completed and the Bible was written, all we need to do is go to the scripture whenever we find an individual saying God told him X, Y, Z. For example, if somebody said God told them to marry 3 women, I would know with absolute certainty that that person did not hear from God because the Bible says that 1 man, 1 woman for life. That's how you know. So that's a schizophrenic individual.
When did the canon close?
The canon was officially closed at the Council of Carthage and the Council of Hippo in the 4th century.
So anybody post 4th century that says God spoke to them, they are schizophrenic, delusional?
Yeah, they are. That's what I would say. Universal claim right there.
You're not Orthodox then, right? Or are you Orthodox?
No, I'm Presbyterian.
You said you're Presbyterian. You said Presbyterian.
Yeah, we're pretty similar to Orthodox and Catholics with reference to we don't accept the Bible alone as our main authority. We accept the traditions of the church.
But Orthodox and Catholics would disagree with you that God still talks to people, right?
That's why I said we are similar to the extent that we agree that the Bible alone is not what is authoritative. We could be distinct in other ways.
For my own clarification, I just wasn't sure if they also believed what you were saying.
I actually don't even know what their position is on that. I don't know. I heard this guy, his name is Andrew Wilson. I don't know if he's representing, you probably heard of him, but in his debates, it sounds like he rejects that as well. I don't know if it's official doctrine of the church, but I can tell you what my church believes. We don't believe that God talks to people apart from his word. There is a passage that says that the Holy Spirit will bring back to your remembrance all that I've told you. So in the sense that God can bring back to my mind what I studied about his word, then yeah, God can talk to me in that way, but not outside of his word. No, never.
All right.
Yeah. No.
I'm gonna eat dinner. It was a good combo.
Yeah, thanks for coming, man. I was just showing you that showing you that
tag, right?
Yeah, I use tag. But I was just showing you that my worldview is consistent when it is examined from an internal.
You're consistent, if nothing else. I'll grant you that. Yeah.
Thanks for coming up, man.
All right. Take it easy.
That was exciting. I love people like that. They're very quick thinkers, very intelligent people, very smart people, and they try to corner me into saying something contradictory. But for all my Christian brethren out there, you gotta know theology. You gotta know your theology, and you gotta know your patristic writings, man. You gotta know them, because if you don't, things like this will mess you up. They will. So I'm gonna make some recommendations here for you. I want for every Christian who's listening to this right now to buy this book. I'm gonna pull it off my bookshelf. Oh my God, this is hard. Oh, okay. Is it being shown on TikTok the right way? Oh no, it's being shown in the opposite way. Damn. Okay. So for those on YouTube who can see this, this book is called Biblical Doctrine. Biblical Doctrine by John MacArthur and Richard Mayhew. It has, wow, it's so old. I remember when I read through this book in 2018. It has 1,022 pages. Yeah, I want you to buy that book and read the whole thing. You can also get it on Kindle. I also have this book in a digital form, so get that book as well. Here's another one that I would love for you guys to get. Come off of here. This is the new systematic theology by Wayne Grudem. It's the updated version of this systematic theology. This one right here. And for all of my Christian scholars out there, you know exactly what this is, because this has been around for a long time. And the white systematic theology book that I showed you earlier, that is all about Calvinism. But this one is Calvinistic, but it also gives you other versions and other views. And this is the updated version of the other one that I just showed you, both of which you can have as a digital book on Kindle. So get it, study it, read it, learn it. If you know your theology, when somebody comes and tries to corner you, as this guy just tried to do, you will have the answers. And you can pick out when there's a misrepresentation and when they are exhibiting ignorance of theology, and hence their question or their objection is unfounded. Okay? All right, so let me put these back on my bookshelf and bring up the next person. I really wanted to bring up Darth, but for some reason, every time I try to bring Darth up, he's not coming up. I don't know what's going on today. Maybe if I start my live over, like drop down and come back up, I'll be able to bring him up. Maybe I'll do that. Okay. Let's bring this guy up. Okay, he's not coming up. Passport. He's not coming up either. Let's try this guy. Young Bands. He's not coming up either. So it seems that everybody who requested up withdrew their request. Well, I hope that y'all enjoyed the cross-examination that I was just getting from the other guy. But guys, I just want to say, with reference to all the questions I was getting from within the Calvinistic worldview, when you do an internal critique, there is no contradiction, none whatsoever. And even in the decree itself, where a Calvinist will tell you that in God's decretive will, in God's prescriptive will, we don't have a situation where God's decretive will and God's prescriptive will is contradicting one another. Because in God's decretive will and in God's prescriptive will, he hates evil. But there's an expansion in his decretive will, in that God wants opposite things of the same subject, which would be a contradiction if we did not qualify it by saying this. God wants opposite things of the same subject with reference to different aspects of the same subject. So let's use slavery, since it's on the screen. God is not pleased with slavery. Let's say it this way. Let's say it this way. The act of slavery is a subject. Let's use that. It is not the case that God does not want the subject and wants the subject at the same time in the same way, because that would be a contradiction. So how we clear it up is pointing out a very, very obvious fact. God wants different aspects of the same subject. So the aspect of the subject, that is the act itself, God does not like. He's not pleased with. But the result of the act of the subject itself, God is pleased with. And here's what I mean. The all-good God is not pleased with evil. But the all-good God is pleased with the result of evil, because the result of evil produces his ultimate, perfect, and good plan. And this is even something that is seen in reality, where a father, the act of learning how to ride a bike will result in two things, two different aspects of the same subject. One, The process, your daughter learning how to ride a bike, she's going to fall off that bike and scratch herself every now and again. And another aspect is this. She will learn how to ride a bike. So you want her to learn how to ride a bike, and you're not pleased with her getting scratched, but you allow her to get scratched so that the good thing that you want to accomplish is accomplished. So with reference to God, God ordains that there is evil because he has a plan. And that plan, when it is fulfilled, is going to be the full expression of his glory to his elect angels and elect people. And that is good, which does not contradict an all good God using evil to fulfill his purposes. Yeah, so there is no contradiction in the Calvinistic Presbyterian worldview. There's none. Now, somebody can say that they don't understand. They can say that they don't like it, but that's irrelevant. Somebody saying they don't like it does not entail that it's false, does not entail that it's not true. And someone saying that they don't understand does not entail that it's false. It just means they don't understand. Okay, so just to clear that out. All right, now the next person. Golden Boy. All right, Golden Boy, what do you have to say?
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing good, man. I'm hoping that you're doing good as well.
I am. I was not even really curious exactly with the prompt because I don't even disagree with it at all, right? Like I think it can take on many different interpretations, but I think they're all good when you talk about biblical like slavery. But I wanted to ask your opinion on what do you think about the idea of like connected consciousness, or I don't like saying Christ consciousness because I feel like it's almost disrespectful in a way to assume that we can have Christ consciousness, right? But what do you think about people generally being connected on a spiritual level, like beyond physical interpretation?
What do I think about people being connected in a spiritual way? I think we are connected in a spiritual way because we're all created by God. We all possess we are souls with a body. God has given us a body as a tool to interact with the physical world. We are all souls or all spirits. And in that way, we are connected because we are spiritual beings created by God.
And do you believe that is the lesson? You think we all need to be here to, like, we all are here for a purpose, right? We hear that all the time. But
yeah.
But do you think that's truly because it's built into us, or do you think it's just an idea?
I think it's built into us. I think that God created all of us with a purpose, and that purpose is to glorify him. That purpose is to bring glory to him. That's our purpose. So there is a teleology in our worldview as Christians in that we have a basis for purpose, whereas other worldviews may not.
Right. No, I just like hearing that because, there's a lot of people that would say that's kind of a weird question, or that's kind of, you know what I mean? Just especially if you're like Christian stuff, because it kind of gets into spiritual talk, and I feel like some people are closed off.
Oh man, I don't shy away from any question, man. That's actually what I love to do. I like to answer questions because a lot of people end up leaving Christianity because someone did not answer a question for them that really needed to be answered, or they were rejected or shunned because they had questions. I think questions are important and they should be asked.
All right, brother. Well, that's all I had to say. I don't want to take up too much of the live, so thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming, man. Bless you.
No problem.
All right, saying God's glory is such a cult thing to say. Man, I would be interested to know what you mean by that. Huh. Is it your perspective that if someone believes in God, they're in a cult? Or is it your perspective that if somebody believes something without empirical evidence of the thing, like, a Christian cannot show you God because he's not a physical being? So, we're in a cult because we believe in a being that we can't see? I don't even know what you mean by, we're in a cult. If that's just your opinion, then, bro, your opinion doesn't matter. But if you have some basis for that opinion, then I'd like to hear it. I'd like to see it. All right. Okay, guys, I'm going to point out something else to you that don't believe me, look it up yourself, okay? Old Testament slavery was not something that was done in a vacuum when we do lower order argumentation and lower order reasoning. Israel was among a geographical location, was in a geographical location that had other people groups. And those people groups were the Canaanites, the Assyrians, the Babylonians, and the Egyptians. This is a fact, okay? All right. Now, from that, if you were to look at the slave codes of those surrounding nations, you don't commit the fallacy of anachronism, and you don't commit the error of presentism, and you look at the surrounding nations and what their slave codes were. If you were living in that time, man or woman, if you were living back then, you would want to be a slave in the Israelite community. If you were one of those people who were less fortunate and the only options you had was unalivement, slavery, or prostitution, you would want to be a slave to an Israelite. You know why? Because one of those benefits that you would get being a slave to an Israelite is that if you were to proselytize and become an Israelite yourself by worshiping Yahweh and believing in Yahweh, you had the same benefits as every other native-born Israelite. One of those benefits being you could not be enslaved beyond 7 years. And when you were freed, there was an obligation that you were compensated by livestock and produce from your previous slave owner so that you could be independent. So you literally had a way where if you were a hypocrite and you did not really believe in God or whatever in that time, you could pretend like you were a worshiper of Yahweh and you could get out of being a slave. That's how beneficial it was within the Israelite community. And also, it is commanded in Leviticus 19, verse 34, that the Israelite is to treat everyone with value, dignity, and respect. They are to love their neighbor as themselves, which extended which was not only applicable to their fellow brethren, but also the native of the land. McLean, you said you were owned for life. You don't understand the Bible. Bro, you don't understand the Bible. This means that you did not read Exodus chapter 12, verse, I think it's 46, where it says that if anyone started to worship Yahweh, then they were to be treated like the native of the land, which would include them not being enslaved for the rest of their life. They would have to be freed within 7 years. You don't know what you're talking about, bro. You don't know what you're talking about. Oh my goodness. And you're so adamant in your error. It's amazing. Okay, Forrest said that the host is so low tier. Okay, what would you like to say about slavery, Forrest?
I would like to say that the Bible God condones slavery.
And I agree. What's the problem?
Okay. I accept their concession.
Okay, what's the problem? That's all? Now, Forrest is really low tier. That's all he came up to say, that God condones slavery. That's all? Okay, buddy. Okay. All right. Owned for life and freed can be the same at the same time. Okay, I'm going to invite you up, McLean. Can't even bring you up. You don't have enough followers, it seems. Don't have enough followers. All right, so let me pull this up from my book. Lay out for me the facts about slavery again in the biblical text. Let me pull this up. Can being owned for life and being freed be true at the same time? No. 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 If you are free, then that means you're not owned as property. No native Israelite was to be owned for more than 7 years. Being a native Israelite was open to every race of people, because this was a law that was there to make provisions for any foreigner who wanted to be a native Israelite. It's found in Exodus chapter 12, verse 48. A foreigner who entered the covenantal community could become legally equivalent to a native Israelite, and all native Israelites were to be treated with the same care, same law, which would include them being freed after 7 years. This is something that you guys don't know, don't understand, or you refuse to understand. So I'm glad to point out your ignorance. I'm glad to point out your error. And if you don't want to change your perspective and your view, it just means you're arrogant. After you correct it, you don't want to change your view, it just means you're arrogant. It's okay. There are arrogant people all over the world. Hey, bro, there's a loud, high-pitched noise in the background. I think it's because of the crickets. Let me close the door. Hey, can you still hear the loud pitch in the background, bro? I hope not. Yes, sir, wise. I am just using the terminology of the unbeliever and the atheist. A lot of you like to say, and I'm not saying that yes or wise you're an atheist. I'm just pointing out a lot of atheists like to say that the slavery of the Old Testament was based on racism. I'm just using your words, and I'm saying no, it's not, because this is refuted by Exodus 12 verse 48. In that being an Israelite was open to every nation and people. They come into the Israelite community and they wanted to worship Yahweh. All of the benefits of an Israelite were given to them. And this guy, God is truth, he says, I can tell you've never actually read the Bible. Wow. Okay. You may keep them as a possession for your children after you, for them to inherit as property. That's Leviticus chapter 25, verse 46. Yeah. Somebody who was not an Israelite could be passed down to children as property. Yes. Someone who was not an Israelite. Yes. But Leviticus 25 is making reference to the Jubilee. So the Jubilee happened every 50 years, which means that because there was no command given to the Israelites as to what they should do with their slaves after the Jubilee, any conclusion or claim that is made as to whether or not the Israelites were commanded to keep them until the other Jubilee or release them after the Jubilee is pure conjecture, which cannot be proven from the Bible nor from the writings of the rabbis. So we like to talk about what we actually know. So foreign slaves in Leviticus 25, they were also allowed to become Israelites themselves by worshiping Yahweh. If they became Israelites themselves by worshiping Yahweh, then there is a law that is against them being a slave for more than 7 years, which means that those slaves that you point to in Leviticus 25, they had a way out of being owned and being passed down to children of their slave owners. Jubilee was not every 7, bro. Jubilee was every 50. Now you're showing me that you don't know the Bible. Oh boy. So just look it up, bro. Look it up, and you'll see that you don't know what you're talking about. And I'm glad that you have this in the comments, McClaim. Jubilee was not every 7 years. Laugh my ass off. You just showed how ignorant you are. Just look it up. Look it up, and you'll see. Because I'm not going to tell you. Look it up. But actually am going to tell you. It's every 50 years. The Jubilee is every 50 years. If you do not write in your comment right now, after looking it up, that you were wrong, I'm going to mute you. Because you're just showing that you don't know what you're talking about, bro. You don't know what you're talking about. God is truth. Oh, God is truth is saying that McClaim is correct, that the Jubilee is every 7 years. Now I know that both of you don't know what you're talking about. Now I know that you're just two dudes who don't know what you're talking about, and 2 examples of the Dunning-Kruger effect. So now the both of you are muted. And the only way that you will talk to me is if you actually come up on my live and show me where I'm wrong. God is truth. You're also muted, bro. So unless you request up, there will be no more talking to me. Because the both of you are showing that you are so dumb when it comes on to the word of God that you're literally saying, McClaim is saying the Jubilee was 7 years. And then you're saying that McClaim, God is truth. You're saying that McClaim is correct. That is a blunder that just shows that the two of you are very, very ignorant about the biblical text. And you're saying that I haven't read the biblical text. Oh my goodness. In case you guys didn't know, I read through the Bible almost every 2 months. So I know what I'm talking about. I know very, very well what I'm talking about. And let me see if this is God is truth. Okay, God is truth. I'm going to bring you up. And the first thing we're going to talk about is how many years is the Jubilee? How many years is the Jubilee, buddy?
Have you always been retarded, or is that just something Darth thought?
I asked you a question. Are you going to answer the question?
I don't care.
Okay.
Yeah.
Goodbye, dumbass. Goodbye, you dumb ass. And now I know to never bring you back up on my page because you like to talk out of your ass about things that you know nothing about. Dunning-Kruger effect. Dunning-Kruger. You're never coming back on my live, bro. You're never coming back. So never request to come back. I'm actually going to mark your name and mark your DP so that I never invite you back up. I asked you a question. And trust me, I have less patience than Darth does when it comes on to dumbasses like you. You're never coming back. I asked you a question and you started asking me a question. That's not how it works, bro. This is not your live, it's mine. You're never coming back. So don't request up again because you're not coming back. Okay, let me bring up AJ. He wanted to ask me a question about wow, God is truth is really requesting to come back. Are you that lonely, buddy, and you really want someone to talk to you? Oh man, not only are you a Dunning-Kruger, but you're a lonely bastard. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, man. I'm so sorry. You'll never talk to me again. You're never coming back on my live. You had one chance, and now all your chances are done. And this is why I have less patience than Darth, because Darth probably would have brought you back up and give you a second chance. I'm a one-chance guy. You're never coming back. So don't request to come back up again. All right, let me see this guy. The Victory. The Victory. What would you like to say about the topic on hand?
You said biblical slavery rightly understood.
Yeah.
I don't really understand the topic.
Well, this entire live is about correcting common misconceptions about biblical slavery. One of them being that it was based on racism.
Okay.
One of the another one, being that it is actually the backdrop and what people of the South in America used as their basis for owning slaves. When the American law code on slavery, we can actually read it, and it never makes reference to the Bible at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Common misconceptions.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, here's what I believe. I believe that, if you read the Bible, you would find where Moses told the people that they were going to be cursed if they do not keep the laws of the Creator, of the Father, right? So that they were going to be cursed, and he told them the curses, and he said that you're going to be scattered all over the world. So I think that is where the idea of slavery being, it just happens to be that maybe black people, happen to fall, under that. Like it happens to be that it's mostly that it happened to black people, kind of. But I'm not saying that it's black people only that that were enslaved or anything like that. But I'm just saying that it just happens to be that the people that were scattered all over the world and don't really know who they are, and happen to go through all those things that were pronounced in the curses. It just happens that they're black. But I'm not saying that they're all black people are these people. So I feel like the people are I feel like the better way to put it would be the black people who are Yashurans, or black people who are whose ancestors Abraham, Moses, and the rest.
So is it your position that the Israelites are black people and all black people are descendants of Israel, of the Israelites?
My position is that the Israelites are not white people, and that not all black people are descendants of the Yashurans. Yeah.
Are you a Hebrew Israelite?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay. Are you an atheist?
No, I'm not. I am not. I'm not religious, but I read the Bible. Yeah, that's just it. I believe the Bible, but I'm not religious. I don't accept any religion at all. No religion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I hope that one day you become a Christian so that you escape the wrath of God that abides on all people who don't believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I believe the Bible. I mean, I read the Bible, but I just don't.
Yeah. So do demons. They believe the Bible too, but they're all going to go to hell. Simply believing the Bible is not enough, man. You have to follow Christ, trust in Christ for forgiveness, call him Lord, follow him as Lord, and obey him, which is get baptized, go to church, preach the word, live the word. Yeah, unless you do that, you're not saved. If you're not saved, then you're going to go to hell. I wouldn't want any of that to happen to anyone. So, just saying, follow the true religion.
All right. Do you see the compromise that is in the church these days? I mean,
yeah, I do. But the bad behavior of Christians is irrelevant to your salvation. God is not going to ask you about the bad behavior of Christians when you're being judged. Nor can you tell him about the bad behavior of Christians, because it won't matter. What are you doing? What's the guy in the mirror doing? Is he following Christ? Is he a true believer? Is he a true Christian or not? I'm a Christian. When I look in the mirror, do I see a hypocrite or do I see someone who is following Christ? I don't care what other Christians do, because I will not be judged on their merits. I'll be judged on my merits. And that's a problem if I'm not following Christ.
All right, but what if after maybe a really long time you get influenced negatively and you start behaving like those people that are compromised?
Then that means I'm a hypocrite and I'm going to go to hell when I die.
Okay.
Yeah, that's consistency. So hopefully God ordains that you become a Christian. You're not going to be one of those hypocrites, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good talk.
Yeah, man. Thank you for coming, brother.
You're welcome.
Let me see. Oh, let me try again. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I change my background. I just changed something on the effects. That I can bring Darth up. I don't know what's going on here, man. I don't know if he's still there. Oh, finally got to send it out. That was fun. That cross-examination was fun. I love to be cross-examined. I love it. It's amazing. It forces me to think and try to remember what I read. It was amazing. That cross-examination was fun. I'm glad that guy came up. Let me try to change this here back to what it was earlier. All right. Biblical slavery rightly understood. Okay, let me see how long I've been on here for. Okay. No, it was funny. I want to hear almost 2 hours. I'm going to jump off of here in a bit. But it's so funny, guys, that, these two people in the comments saying that the year of Jubilee is actually 7 years. I'm like, no, it's 50 years. And they were the entire time saying, I can tell this guy doesn't read the Bible, or I can tell that this guy is so ignorant, or whatever. I'm like, you're calling me ignorant, and you don't even know that that Jubilee is 7 years? Oh boy. And Leviticus 25 is the Jubilee chapter. So, no one can find anywhere in the Bible where it tells the Israelites what they are to do with foreign slaves after the Jubilee ends. If they are to let them go, or if they are to pass them down. There's no way to go. But what we do know is that according to Exodus chapter 12, verse 48, anyone who became an Israelite had the same benefits of an Israelite. When did this event happen? What are you talking about, Yasser Wise? Are you talking about Jubilee? I don't know what you're talking about. What event? The Jubilee? It happened every 50 years. And the Israelites were supposed to release slaves at the end of every Jubilee. What they were to do with foreign slaves is not said when they went into slavery. I couldn't tell you. I don't know. I couldn't tell you the date that it happened. I couldn't tell you. I don't know. I'd have to look it up. I don't know. I don't like to answer questions I don't know the answer to, so I'm not even going to try. I don't know. Does it matter when it happened? Does it matter? Does it matter when they went into slavery? Okay, why does it matter? You want to come up and talk about it? Let me try to bring you up. You can talk, man. Give your fingers a break. Come on up. Oh, you don't talk on chat. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't matter to me when they went into slavery. I would say probably 1400 BC, 1200 BC, back then, when the Israelites were a nation chosen by God back then. So I would say whenever the foreigners went into slavery, there were laws, there were rules that were given as to how they were to be treated. They were not to be abused. They were not to be abused. They were not to be mistreated, and other things. And also, very, very good thing about biblical slavery in the Old Testament is that just acknowledging the historical fact of slavery. An Israelite slave was not to be a slave for more than 7 years. They were obligated to be released. A foreign slave who became an Israelite had that same law applied to them. So, when you compare that to the surrounding nations, the Canaanites, the Egyptians, the Babylonians, and the Assyrians, the way they treated their slaves, if you were a slave to an Israelite, you were blessed. You were blessed because they were obligated to let you go if you became an Israelite. Even if you did so hypocritically, you had to be freed. That's law. That's a law, man. All right. I'm going to jump down and come back up, see if I can get Darth to come up here. Wait. So why do black people relate it to the 400-year slavery? That's because the Israelites were enslaved in Egypt for 400 years. So because there is some overlap where black people, the transatlantic slave trade, it lasted for almost 400 years. They try to draw a parallel, but there's no parallel. There's none. There's none. Slavery is evil. Slavery is wrong, but it is an evil nonetheless that was ordained by God to fulfill His purposes, and His purposes are always good. So slavery is a part of God's plan. Slavery's existence is a part of God's plan. And for us to say otherwise is to, put ourselves in problems as Christians, because now we're saying things are happening in the world that caught God by surprise. And now God is just reacting to what happened in the world that caught him off guard. That's a problem. That's a big problem. I don't have to deal with as a Presbyterian. I'm glad. All right, so it's now 7 o'clock. I'm going to jump off of here and see if I come back. Darth will be able to join me. Only have one follower. That's not good. What's going on there? Oh boy, TikTok made a video of me automatically. I didn't even do that. All right. Thanks for coming, everybody. I hope that you understand biblical slavery a little bit better now, especially the critique I got, or the critique I had from the guy who was here earlier. All right, everybody. God bless you. Thanks for coming. Until next time.